everyone, and welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the final race of our 2017 Mopar Superbike Championship Series. I'm your series announcer, Frank Wood. Today's race coverage is brought to you by Dalton Timmis Insurance, Motovan, Honda, Magneti Morelli offered by Mopar, and Dunlop.
This is the last of our 7 rounds of Mopar CSBK in 2017. Jordan Zook has been on pole for the last 2 years, basically since we started the Dalton Timmis Insurance Super Pole. But interestingly, although there's no podium and no prize money, we have a different pole setter today, Frank.
Indeed, from Fast Lap recorded yesterday, Samuel Trepanier finishing second in yesterday's penultimate Superbike race for the 2017 season, and that gave him pole. I like the new scoring system, Colin. It's a really nice flip, and nothing against Jordan. You know, he could have got the Fast Lap too.
Well, I think Jordan would say, as long as there's no points and no money, no watch and no trophy, I suppose it's going to be all right. But why do I cynically feel as though if some of those things were involved, Jordan would have found that 10th or 2 that would have made the difference? And anyway, we're looking at the grid here, rows 8 and 9, very full field here, at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And you can see Jeffrey Sneed back in action after a long layoff. Actually won a Superbike race here more than 20 years ago on a Ducati. He's on a Yamaha R1. Steve Nickerson back. He did our round at Grand Bend and showed very well on that Honda of his. Looking further up, Sebastian Tremblay hasn't raced with us since St. Eustache. Andrew Nelson required some engine help with his GSXR. Had some problems on the dyno. Sean Huffman, 2 years since he's competed with us on that BMW backed by Pro 6 cycle. Doug Lawrence in contention with Bill Jay for Brooklyn Cycle Pro Rookie of the Year. Now we get to the faces. Frank, row 3. Leon Daly back with the series after a year off. Chris Mariodin hasn't raced since his big crash here last year. And Mitch Card on an R1 in the Superbike feature for the first time this season. Row 2, Jeff Williams on his very trick BMW. Kenny Reedman on the Kawasaki. Bodie Eady on the Yamaha that won at Grand Bend, the only bike other than Jordan Zook's BMW to take first overall so far this season. We have one more crack. Who is the man most likely to? At this point, Samuel Trepanier's name jumps into the market, but all 4 of these bikes, these 4 faces, are BMWs, which shows you the strength of the German brand here, particularly on that uphill drag strip.
You talk about that Brooklyn Cycle Pro Rookie of the Year award. Trepanier finished second in that contest last year. Ben Young won it. And this year, between Bilge and Lawrence, there's only 2-point spread, Colin. So it's going to be decided in this race.
Yeah, Bilge on that ex-Reedman bike. Lawrence in his first year. Of course, he's a flat track racing star. So lots of interesting conversations. Of course, the big conversation is the #1 plate. Jordan Zook will wear that once again next year. And we know that Thomas Kazaz will wear it in the Liqui Moly Pro Sport bike.
Trouble. Hold on a second. 2 of the CSBK officials there, I believe that's Andrew Murray and Rob Egan, CSBK officials, and now Zed Salimi is over the wall, so he's having a look there. And I noticed, Colin, when they went out for the warm-up lap, Bodie left really, really early, and I'm wondering if maybe that clutch was grabbing and he decided to air it out.
Well, it's always a little risky. Of course, these bikes have launch control and whatnot, but clutch feel is important at the start. But the problem here is we are off the tire warmers. We had a warm-up lap, and everybody's really antsy to get going.
No kidding. I hope everything's okay with that Yamaha. Bodie Eady, who's had a very, very good season. This will be the last chance we get to see the Rider's Choice starting lights. They're all on right now. When those lights go off, as you know, bang, away we go. And Zook releases the clutch first. He has pulled the trigger, won the race here yesterday, and he's taken the lead already.
But good work by Ben Young up to second, McBride third. You can see that grid with quite a few changes from last day because of the fast lap method, and it has provided a very different look to the start of this race, give or take Jordan Zook.
Young in second, McBride holds on to third. Then we have Trepanier, and who is that on the red bike? Is that Jeff Williams?
Jeff Williams, a Superbike star from the past, looking very strong. And of course, we had 6 or 7 guys showing really good lap times yesterday, and Williams was one of them.
Well, last year, Williams showing up here riding the Accelerated Technologies. John Sherrard prepared Honda and put it in the top 10. And so here he is now this year with a BMW doing very well indeed, as you can see in this particular race. And he's also doing well down to the Race Super Series down at Shannonville Motorsport Park. On board with Ben Young now, running in second spot and chasing the Dragon. Jordan Zook on the Express Lane Motovan sponsored BMW.
And Reedman's working on Williams there. Reedman on the Kawasaki, getting by Jeff Williams. Bodie Eady not too far behind them on his Yamaha. We'd expect both of those riders, Reedman and Eady, to march to the front. They were major players and have run at the front here before. Eady has won here. Reedman has been on the podium regularly over the last 2 years, but not yesterday.
Trouble with running for the to the front, rather, for those guys, is they've got a long ladder to climb. Meanwhile, Jordan Zoke with a fresh vision up front, a clear field of vision up front, and looks like he's going for a ride.
Ben Young having one of his better rides. Remember last year he was showing so well here and had a big crash in the part of the track we just went through. Yeah. And he's having a bit of a moment chasing Jordan, and I would imagine he's going to try and put some pressure on to let Zoke know there's no way to break clear. Now we're on board with Trepanier, who's going to have a look on McBride. Again, mostly BMWs here at the front. Nice move on the outside. Can Trepanier make it stick on the brakes?
Oh, yes. Down into Moss's, and he and McBride were exactly side by side, but Trepanier comes out on top of that one. And right in behind McBride is Williams again. And you'll remember, of course, he rode for the Honda team for a number of years, also rode for the Diablo massive team out of Montreal, Quebec. And it is great to see him back on the circuit.
There you can see McBride in fourth with Reedman in fifth, looking like, yeah, Reedman got by McBride. So we have a Kawasaki in amongst the BMWs, and this was expected. Oh, I think Reedman actually was repassed by McBride into 8.
Good for Matt coming back against Kenny Reedman. Reedman on the 42 machine, of course, and he campaigning that Liqua Molly. Oh boy, did McBride ever get him that time. As a matter of fact, Reedman now has his hands full with Jeff Williams, and they were side by side when last seen entering turn 1. Interesting
to see how close the leaders are, and of course, Jordan Zoke doesn't like this. He doesn't mind it so much when he's at the front, but he does not want to participate in a 5 or 6 bike battle for the lead. He wants to be in first or second with very few variables, and right now he is setting the pace, and I guarantee you his goal is to scrub these guys off. Very hard to do here because they get on the back straight, and the guys in second, third, and so on slipstream their way back into contention, but Zoke is doing the heavy lifting at this point. Different strategy from yesterday when he followed Trepanier for a lot of the opening part of the race.
And McBride on the Rider's Choice BMW S1000 RR. Reedman has caught him and passed him once more, and again McBride has Jeff Williams right in behind, so Williams is hanging in here very well indeed with the younger riders.
We had a good look at the 3-bike slipstream there. Trepanier is the third, who should be getting the best tow out of the 3. Also, as we go back on board with that drift camera showing very well what it's like to be in third in a superbike race at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Trepanier has been very bold through this section, 8, 9, and 10, but a little more conservative, and he may have decided, I'm not going to hustle as hard, work my tires hard, wait and see, pace myself a bit. Of course, Trepanier's ride yesterday to second place was an outstanding effort and definitely put a marker down for next year in the season.
And this trio right here, Zoke, Young, and Trepanier, have put some very serious distance between themselves and the rest of them. They have become the aliens in this race. And you talked about Reedman and Bodie Eady and what have you. Man, they've got a very steep ladder to climb if they're going to catch these guys. I realize full well we probably got, 15 laps left in this, but these guys have got a stranglehold on it, it seems.
Heading through turn 3, let's look at the laps, and you can see we're very, very close together. Trepanier, 21 flat. That is a solid effort with a full fuel load, getting used to those Dunlop slicks, warming up, being comfortable with the pace of the motorcycle. As we head through Moss Corner, the tightest, slowest part of the track.
And Reedman has, oh, nice move by Ben Young. Swoops in there and just slices his way into the race lead. That was beautifully done by Ben Young, just so smooth.
And classic example of Young's racecraft, right? He is careful. He is diligent. He sweats the details. He saw just the very slightest error on entry by Zoke. A little tight and pounced on it. Look at this. This is even more aggressive.
Young takes the inside and he takes the race lead, if only for a moment. Now on the outside of the next corner, Ben Young has taken the race lead and held on to it this time. I think Zoke got ahead of him maybe by half a wheel there, and just for a moment now, Young has the race lead. He's leading his first national championship superbike race.
Spies versus Spy as the BMWs battle each other. another. And look at this, Zoke just a little tight, which maybe forces him just a hair wide here. But boy, Young just slides in as if it's nothing.
Look at that.
And he gets the bike squared up, gets the drive, gets the line. Zoke overpowers him slightly on the back straight. But what's great is Zoke's just slightly wide at the entry. Of course, Trepagny's been doing a lot of that through this section this weekend. And Young comes right back. And this is a pretty good side-by-side battle. And I'm sure right now Trepagny is thinking the door's going to open and I'm going to do a Bodie Edie.
Well, one coming into turn number 8, the outside line is not a bad place to be either, because if you're successful getting through there, of course, it sets you up for the inside line, the racing line, if you will, through turn 9. But it was Ben Young that elected to take the inside line in 8, and goodness shows that it worked out for him. On board with Trepagny now, chasing Zoke, who in turn is chasing Ben Young on the Scott-built BMW.
There you can see Zoke having a bit of an edge in the draft going by early. Now let's see what Trepagny does. He likes it wide in 8.
Double draft. He just about touched Zoke coming in there. They were very, very close, but Trepagny has vaulted himself into the lead, using rather the drag that he got from Ben Young and Jordan Zoke on that Mario Andretti straightaway.
Watch from Trepagny, and this is a great place to watch. Very exciting on a superbike. They accelerate. And here you see Zoke timing the draft. He seems to have a slight edge on power. He does not expect anybody to come around him at this point. He's trying to get back onto a line that he likes. And there Young glances and realizes there's a lot going on here. And I'm so amazed by what Trepagny's been able to do in turn 8. And Jordan Zoke is not an easy guy to pass, and 2 different people have passed him in the last couple of laps.
No kidding. He probably doesn't like it a whole lot either, but nonetheless, that's what he's faced with these young guns coming up, Riedman and Zoke, and Riedman and Trepagny and Young. These are the young guns coming up, and Jordan, albeit he's not all that old, nonetheless he has a few years on these kids.
And you mentioned Riedman, and I saw him there in the back of the shot. He's 4th. He has got clear of that battle for 4th. So the question is, can he build that bridge? And we've seen that Kawasaki is pretty fast on the back straight. And look, there's Riedman on the tight line, coming up the hill, trying to make up the difference and join this battle for 3rd as Zoke has a look on Trepagny.
Kenny Riedman really likes that tight inside line coming out of Moss's, and again using it to his advantage, and he has left McBride and Jeff Williams far behind now as he sets off in pursuit of the front runners. Whether he can close that distance or not in the next little while, as Zoke moves right in on Trepagny, and Trepagny getting a bit of a step out there coming out of 10. Yeah,
Trepagny didn't have the circumstances through 9 and 10 the way he'd like. Full marks, he got on the gas. He's getting comfortable leading, and he's not giving it up easily. Now this inside move on 2 is one we've seen Zoke look at over and over, and he's made it work, but it is a tricky one, and Trepagny knows he can do it now. We saw it yesterday, so that's going to change things as Zoke has a look on the inside of turn 3. But Trepagny doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and if he gets a little offline, he seems to be able to deal without losing a great deal of time. And if I'm Ben Young, I'm thinking I got to get back in here, put some pressure on Jordan, make him a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Down into Moss as we go, and here comes Kenny. We pick up on Kenny Riedman coming in to turn 5. He is almost there, Colin. I would suspect he's probably going to be with his friends by the time they reach turn 8.
Yeah, and the trick now for Riedman is just to be smooth and consistent, to work the draft. At this point, literally as we're talking, he's probably working the draft with Ben Young. Ben Young may have seen his tachometer indicate that he's got a nope. He's not quite that close, so Young did well up the back straight there. The 3 BMWs continue to hold off the Kawasaki Double R by just a little bit.
Trepagny through turn number 8. Zoke sitting in 2nd spot. Ben Young, oh yeah, he's definitely there. Look at this battle starting to heat up now in behind them. There's a number of riders there, including Jeff Williams. I believe Doug Lawrence is involved in that one as well. We'll see if we can get a rundown on exactly who is involved. It looked like about 4 or 5 riders there, so get a rundown on that. There are races within this race, Colin.
Well, we have a couple of clumps. So we have this group racing for first, then a small gap, and then quite a clump for about 6, which includes, I think, Williams and Leon. And then a little further back is a group involving, I think, Lawrence and Huffman and a couple others. But it's interesting at Mosport, they tend to clump up and draft together, and those guys end up racing back and forth for position. But you get locked into that 4 or 5 spot range because you've lost the slipstream of the group in front.
Quite so. And of course, one of the races within this race we're watching, other than those clumps that you referred to, Colin, of course, is the personal battle for the Brooklyn Cycle Racing Pro Rookie of the Year award, and that is directly between Doug Lawrence of Mississauga, Ontario, and JF Bilger out of Quebec.
Yeah, and Lawrence, his first full season in his career road racing, he's been the flat track national champion, and Bilger, who has climbed the ranks racing with our series, and it's been very close between them. Bilger had a great Saturday race at Atlantic Motorsport Park, and right now that is really the difference, is Bilger's Saturday at our last round.
Yeah, Bilger had a bit of a tough year also. You remember just before the St. Eustache round, the closest one to his home, he had all of his racing equipment stolen, and he actually had to go around and borrow a motorcycle, borrow leathers and what have you to get back on the track. So it's been a tough year for him, but you know the old saying, when the going gets tough.
Good look from Young in third place. We saw Riedman, who is now definitely part of the story. Now we look backwards with the drift camera from Trepanier, and Zoke definitely head down, arms out. He's looking like he wants to pounce for the lead. You can see Trepanier spinning the tire a bit as we head into turn 4. Big plunge down the hill in the section they call the chute. And there you can see in the back Riedman on that green Kawasaki joining the 3 BMWs, and I think this trip up the hill could be very instructive for Mr. Riedman.
Let me offer this observation. You know, Jordan Zoke has carried the dragon as a symbol on his helmet ever since I've ever been watching him, and I think Trepanier, through Dalton Timmis Insurance Super Pole, and again through yesterday's race, he kind of poking in the cave there and poking the dragon and maybe got him a little angry.
Well, I don't know about angry, but I think Jordan is thinking a lot more about Samuel Trepanier than he ever has before.
Well, Kenny Riedman right now is thinking about Ben Young and how much he'd like to put him in his rear view mirror. And will that happen? There is that battle that I spoke about. Lawrence leading over Card and Chris Murray O'Dane and Bilger and Huffman. And there's Lawrence now. Nice. Oh, no! Oh, my God. Lawrence has crashed big time. He's into the wall. The bike's into the wall as well. Oh, man. Colin.
Turn 8 is not a place where you want to have drama, and that was a lot of drama, and I'm not sure what happened as we go back with the leaders. Of course, they're not aware. Here you can see Lawrence coming down right on the line, Card looking on the inside with his Yamaha. Nothing happening there, so pretty much status quo. But just as we're getting down to the apex, something happens. Lawrence comes off the low side, the bike high sides, and starts to tumble. There's a fair amount of runoff in this section, but this is a very fast corner here, so not what you want to see at all. Doug Lawrence, flat tractor, a tough guy, but of course, question is, okay, so a red flag, so they want to make sure that everything's okay with Lawrence, and that is a bad spot.
Let's check them out. The riders indicating to one another as they came up that back straightaway, Kenny Riedman and Ben Young, and that's where the crash happened right there. You can see the marks as we go by there on the drift cam on the side of Ben Young's bike, but apparently Doug's going to be okay, so let's go to the restart, and we get to see those Riders' Choice starting lights again. I thought we'd seen them for the last time. We get another view at them.
And we get to see Trepanier starting from pole again.
Right on.
Trepanier, Young, Zoke, and Riedman, and this is going to be interesting. Riedman is not starting from the second or third row. He is going to have a good shot at going to the lead right away with that Kawasaki.
And perhaps a good break for Michael Leon and Matthew McBride as well. The lights have gone off, the field is launched again, and it's absolutely exactly the same as what we saw last time.
Zoke from Young, and we were looking on board with Trepanier, so he's third.
Leon's there.
And I think that was a really good start for Michael Leon on that Royal BMW. And let's see what happens heading down the hill. Trepanier really tight as we head through the double apex turn 2. Now we're back on board with Trepanier. Young really working the tire coming out there.
No kidding. Michael Leon holding on to 4th spot just ahead of Kenny Riedman, who in turn is in front of Matthew McBride, and I think that's Jeff Williams again in behind McBride. They had a good duel on the initial start. We'll see whether that heats up again.
Heading down through the chute on the first of 8 laps on our restart here. So Jordan knows he's not going to break clear. It's going to be almost impossible in 8 laps. It's going to be busy, so he wants to take control, manage it. I think he's okay being first or second, but he won't want to get sucked back into the group. It's like quicksand back there, and then you have no idea what's going to happen in the slipstream. And here he has Trepanier on his tail, and we saw this all race long yesterday. Trepanier trying the outside of 8, where he has been so impressive throughout our event.
What a thrill. Trepanier not only around Ben Young, but he has also snatched up the race leader, Jordan Zoke. Oh, Zoke taking the line into 9, so Trepagny coming too wide out of 8 and kind of cutting off his own racing line, Colin.
Young right with them in 3rd, and I think that Jordan is starting to use more of the equipment he has at his disposal. He's been very careful throughout his career at this track to not show more than he needs to in terms of what he's got up his sleeve, his tricks and the strengths of his combination. But I think he, at this race, this situation, short race on a restart, he does not want to get involved with anybody else. And the question is, can he ride hard enough to break away, or at least to pull 1 or 2 people clear so he can manage the situation? And the wild card is again in Trepagny, not because he's not riding well. He's riding great. He's consistent. He looks like he belongs at the front, but he's an unknown, right? He has exactly 1 race where he's battled for the lead.
Oh, Trepagny came wide out of 4. I thought he was going to take a stab down at Moss's corner there. Riedman, meanwhile, has gathered up Michael Leon, and in behind Leon is Matthew McBride still, but Riedman has put himself into 4th spot, and that is a very good spot to be in such a short race.
What a great shot looking back from Zoke's BMW, that train of motorcycles going up the hill, picking up gears, and the dyno shows all. Zoke's bike is strong, but Trepagny once again, oh wow.
Trepagny around the outside this time, and he's gone too wide again. Can't make it work. Meanwhile, Ben Young has a look to the inside, and Trepagny now has been shunted back into 3rd spot by his own violation.
Well, sometimes ambition just doesn't play the way you want it to. We're going to go back and have another look at that, and what you'll see, it's just discernible. Trepagny once again so ambitious. You can actually see him pull his leg out so he doesn't clip the back of Zoke. This is great, but Zoke is not in the mood. And right here, he gets too wide. And watch, there's going to be a slip right there. Whoa. And it doesn't look like much, but at that speed on a superbike, that is an exciting moment. That is the reason Ben Young picked up 2nd. And I think what's going on is Zoke is not in the mood.
Yeah, and Michael Leon staying close now with Kenny Riedman. So Leon hooking a ride with the Speedman, and this is one of Michael Leon's best rides. You know, we've seen him perform so well this year. We saw him run rather so well at Shubenacadie, and yesterday here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and he's doing it again. This wily veteran, he's been around this sport for a long time and continues to perform very, very well indeed.
Well, when you come to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Superbike weekend, you get spoiled because we've had so many great races. Last year was fantastic, but these races almost always stack up like this because of what we're watching right now, the slipstreaming up the back straight. And Riedman, I think, did to Trepagny what he's been doing to everybody else, which is,
look at this.
Work him on the outside
right
in 8. What a
spot.
great move by Riedman, and he is showing lots of ambition, and he is now our man on the move.
Oh, Kenny Riedman putting in a great ride here. He has come from so far back, and of course, we mentioned that restart really helped him. However, he's not out of the woods, not by a long shot. Look at this.
On board with Trepagny, and Riedman times it well. That bike is strong and is obviously geared to take advantage. But right here, Trepagny's looking up the inside, and he's worked both sides, more the outside. Of course, the outside offers some more choice, but is much riskier, as Trepagny demonstrated in our last lap. But right here, Riedman's not exactly on the line he wants, but he is making it clear that the spot is not available. And I think what we'd all like to see is what we've seen the last 2 years here is Riedman get up there and really mix it up with Zoke. Can he get to that spot? We will see. And of course, because of what happened between Riedman and Trepagny, there's a little bit of a gap up to the leading BMWs.
Yeah, quite so. And Leon still sitting back in 5th spot. He is definitely in an advantageous position as well. I thought perhaps Leon might have a move last time around when they come up into 8. We'll see whether he's going to get a good toe up that back straightaway and give him an opportunity to get towards podium position.
Leon looking great in 5th, but remember, he's more in the discussion. He's been in 5th before, but never within sight of the lead.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to pace himself. A guy with a ton of experience, raced all kinds of different motorcycles at the front of a variety of classes. But if I'm Michael Leon right now, I'm not in a rush to show my hand. I want to see how the pace works, what the tires are doing, and all of that. But yes, he is in this race. He could win it, and of course, a little bit of smart slipstreaming, and he could go from 5th to 3rd in one lap.
On Trepagny's bike, looking back now, the Blisk Racing BMW of Trepagny, looking back at the Royal Distributing sponsored Michael Leon, both of those riders out of Quebec, and strong contingency from La Belle Province once again here in Mopar CSBK Racing. And Ben Young out of Collingwood, Ontario in 2nd spot now. Looks like he may have something cooking here for our champion. I think Ben's going to hand him something.
Well, Zoke under pressure from Young and Riedman has been the story as often as not for the last almost 2 seasons since Young started in Superbike at the start of last year. But look at this. You could throw a blanket over the top 5. So this trip up the straight will be informative, I like to think.
Baby's blanket, by the way, is what you could put over the top 5 as they come onto the back straightaway once more. Leon swinging out wide and trying to come up alongside Trepanier. That didn't quite work. Kenny Reedman now has a look to the inside of Ben Young as they go into turn number 8. Young staying on the racing line and further holding back Reedman. Reedman looks again to the inside of turn number 9. Nothing there for him either.
And we're fairly much to the middle of this race. Remember, it's a restart, it's short. And Trepanier didn't do anything in turn 8 that lap, which really surprises me. Almost every lap he's tried or done something amazing in turn 8. So let's see what happens. You can see Reedman working the back of that Dunlop slick really hard on the Kawasaki, and look at that, Trepanier on the outside. So there's lots going on here.
Yeah, he's got something in mind for sure. An outside line coming down through 2, give him the inside line going into 3, but that's not going to quite happen. He's too far back from Reedman to launch an assault at this point in time. On board with Ben Young once more, chasing the champion, chasing the dragon, as it were.
Heading down through the chute, and the question is, what is Reedman going to try this time? Because he seems like the guy who has the most ambition at this part of the race, and he has worked his way up. That has been impressive. Now he's in the slipstream of Young as we head up the back straight.
Ben Young on the Scott-built machine, he hailing in from Collingwood, Ontario. Looking back now at Kenny Reedman as he's chasing down his good buddy. Look at Reedman's bike pulling the front wheel on the back straightaway, and Reedman has gathered him up. He's got him. He's moved into second spot. Kenny Reedman has taken second spot, and here comes Trepanier around the outside of Ben Young heading into turn number 9. Yes or no? Yes, he got him.
Always confusing there. Look at Leon on the inside of Trepanier, and the reason I say confusing is because Young and Leon's bikes are so very similar. Let's go back and watch that again. We're on board with Jordan Zoke. The view from the lead, you can see that Reedman pulls out early, which I wondered was that the best plan, but he chugs on past the BMW, and his bike also seems to be geared fairly well, so when the time comes, there you can see once again wheeling over the second crest, which shows you the power of these motorcycles.
Yeah, unbelievable. 2 laps to go now. Michael Leon in 5th. Samuel Trepanier is in 4th. Ben Young holds 3rd spot. Kenny Reedman is in 2nd, and the lead is Jordan Zoke, the 11-time champ, or 12-time champion. He wrapped it up yesterday. 12-time champion now, leading the brats, as it were, down into Moss's corner.
Reedman is finally where he wants to be on the tail of Zoke's BMW as we start up the back straight. There's this one for practice and one more that counts. So the question is, what does Reedman have? He has not measured himself against Zoke yet, so this is important. He only gets 1 practice run. We're watching it right now.
Yeah, and Ben Young and the rest of the group there, Michael Leon and Trepanier now slightly outside the draft, I would suggest, as we come into turn number 8. Kenny Reedman now in virtually the wheel tracks of Jordan Zoke. He'll be looking for his opportunity. We've seen him so many times come so close to winning a Mopar Canadian Superbike Championship race, and it hasn't happened yet. One more circulation, Colin. This is it.
Let's have a look at our lap times as Zoke is going to be all at 1 lap, less than a lap to go, holding off Reedman. Look at the lap times there, and Reedman, wow. Shocking that was some very good laps from him, and right now he's trying to think, what is the best plan? Should I hang back just a bit? Should I make sure I time it on the back straight? We saw some very interesting things last lap. Reedman would have learned a lot from that. So now the question is, and we've seen this before at this track, Reedman versus Zoke on the last lap, and who's going to go where and who will out-fumble whom?
Well, it wasn't by much, but Michael Leon actually had the fastest lap on that board we just watched, so Leon has an opportunity here. Remember, he's got 4 guys breaking the wind for him on that back straightaway. He may be in the ideal position on this final lap. Here we go. We're on board now, or we were on board rather with Ben Young for a moment. Now we're on with Jordan Zoke, looking back at Kenny Reedman, and those two have gone for a ride for sure. Can't see anybody threatening those two through this last lap. So it's going to come down to Reedman and Zoke, and as we come into turn number 8, Reedman takes a wide line into 8. That'll put him up perfectly for turn number 9, but he doesn't get it done, Colin. He doesn't get in there. He's going to have to follow Zoke home unless he's got some magic coming out of 10, and that ain't going to happen. Out onto the front straightaway, Zoke's back wheel clawing for traction, the front wheel being lifted, and now he has punched a hole in the air of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, celebrating his second victory this weekend.
Great effort by Riedman. You can see him congratulating our winner, Zoke, and just maybe another lap or two. Riedman could have come up with a plan. It was close. He tried his best, but what a great win. And Jordan Zoke in the last 3 seasons has lost 1 race, and that was Bodie Eady at Grand Bend. Now let's go back and watch that last lap. We're on board with our leader, Jordan Zoke. Riedman looks good, pulls out of the draft, tucked in under the bubble on that ZX10 RR Ninja. Right here, I think Riedman's got it, but Jordan decides to run it in deep, a little tight, and right now Riedman's trying to figure, can I possibly make it to the apex of 9 ahead? But Jordan is almost a bike length clear, and he can pick up the line, and right now Riedman's options are few unless Zoke makes a mistake. That doesn't happen much.
Yeah. And that battle out back there between Ben Young, Michael Leon, and Trepanier. Trepanier came up on the winning end of that one.
There we see Zoke heading out for another victory lap. This is a familiar situation, his 14th in national action at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and a very deserved win. And next year, everybody's going to be trying to figure out how to get to him. Looking at our best lap times, very informative there. Tremendous ride by Riedman. Trepanier, great weekend, a career-making weekend for him. From Young and Leon, another guy with a superb weekend. And as we look at the rest of the top 10, McBride in 6th, Eady fading to 7th with electrical problems, William 8th, Daly regaining the series in 9th, and Tremblay, another part-time racer, a strong 10th on his Kawasaki ZX10R. Now let's head down to our podium and hear from our winners in our final national of 2017.
The Team of the Year award decision has been made, and this year it goes to the Wozni Racing Team. Jordan Zoke's Express Lane Motovan team has won yet again the Team of the Year for 2017. Okay, let's have a little chat with our top 3 riders. Samuel Trepanier, tell us about your experience out there.
Well, I have to specify, I think we hold a race track record, so that's quite an accomplishment in itself, and I'm very proud about it. I had my head down, I was ready for a world race like that, and I was strong corner 8, strong corner 2, strong corner 4. I was entering corner really fast compared to them, and I think I would have had a good chance to win that race. Then we got that red flag. It's really sad for Doug. I hope he's okay.
Kenny, you had the lead, but it was so brief.
Yeah, that was probably the shortest time I've ever led a race. So I kind of slowly worked my way up, and I knew I was there 2 laps to go. And I thought, I'm going to save it for a last second draft pass. And I didn't quite time it right, so I had to go around the outside, and that didn't quite work out. Jordan was really strong out of 8 into 9, so I had nothing for him.
Jordan, what an excellent way to end this season, capturing your 12th national championship and winning both rounds here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
It feels good to win those type of battles because they can go any way, and I was waiting for Sam to go around the outside of me into 8, so I was hugging the right a little bit, and all of a sudden I seen this green machine coming around the outside of me, and I went, oh man, and I thought, well, I'm on the inside a little bit, I'm not going to brake until he does, and then we started to both drift a little wide because we went in so deep, and I was worried that someone might come up the inside of us then, so I got back on the gas as hard as I could to 9, and managed to pull it off, but what a race. I was letting it hang right from the word go, and I turned my traction control way down and let it spin and buck, and I said, I don't care, I'm pinning this thing to the finish. And there's a lot more guys on the grid now that can be there. There's 5 or 6 guys in the qualifying there you're watching, and I just want to say a real special thanks to the whole team. This Team of the Year award, this is about everybody and all the hard work they do all night long while everybody's out there camping and having beers. Our guys are here working away, so this is for them, and I'd like to thank them.
Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your podium from the Mopar Canadian Superbike. Well, each and every one of these racers have come up through the ranks. They start off as amateurs and then they move into the professional ranks. And their first year in the professional ranks makes them eligible to be the Brooklyn Cycle Racing Pro Rookie of the Year. Bilge and Lawrence came right down to the final race of the year, and it is Bilge taking the championship. A great big check and handshakes from our top 3 pro riders. He's going to join these guys in the pro ranks next year. This is his first year in the pro ranks, and no doubt he'll be wanting to head for the podium. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. That was a really, really hard battle. That was my target at the beginning of the years, but you have Tim and Dogs, hope is well too, with a really hard battle all during the years. My problem, I have Kenny's last year's bike, so I never can say it's because of the bike. It's just because of the driver. So you have to work and do it, and until the last time that was a battle, but yes, we do it.
Great effort by Bilge to take those rookie pro honors. Lawrence, wow, it got close, but it didn't pan out. Looking at our point standings, Zoke clinches his 12th crown. Reedman up to second, Young third, Trepanier showing a lot in fourth overall from Bodie Eady, who of course scored that one win at Grand Bend. Michael Leon, Jeff Williams, Andrew Nelson on the Suzuki, Bilge, what a great effort to ninth on the Kawasaki, and Matt McBride, who only did a partial season.
Thus ends our 2017 season. Colin, it has been a very, very successful season. I don't think I've ever seen a Superbike grid this large at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, for instance. Tremendous year, and very much looking forward to 2018 and see what unfolds for us in the off-season.